Welcome to Critical Thinking. I am the scholar, social scientist, and historian, Professor Terrell Johnson. Please like and subscribe. I have a very special guest here today who is going to inform us of the significance of a research project that we've been conducting about Magnolia Mound. Ms. Jamie Sims Price. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
So we're going to discuss today about this labor of love that your family has undertaken. We in the South Baton Rouge community are very familiar with the Magnolia Mound plantation, but most of us don't really have a thorough understanding of what that monument and that institution means. Your family has begun to do a genealogical research and are looking to make some changes to put Magnolia Mound in a better light. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us how this came about.
Well, my name is Jamie DePlanche Sims Price. I have a twin, Janice, and we are actually descendants of the DePlanche. From Armand DePlanche's grandson, Joseph DePlanche, married my great-grandmother, Martha Ridley, a freed woman of color. And so that's how we became a descendant of the DePlanche family. My initial start of this project was about a year and a half ago. How I got to join this project was a cousin of mine, Henry DePlanche, who lives in Hawaii. And my sister and I went to a funeral in Beaumont, Texas for a family member and met our cousin Henry. And he talked about this journey that Lou DePlanche, who was a cousin on the Armand side, who lives in New Orleans, that she's been undertaking for the past 5 years. And that is the goal is to get a monument to recognize the enslaved at Magnolia Mound. And so that piqued our interest because, as old folks would say, some things in the family you keep secrets. So we did not know the depth of our family, the DePlanche side, until recently. Okay. Grandmother always said, don't ever lose the property. Your land is valuable to you in terms of blacks owning land. Didn't understand as a child what that meant until recently, because I never thought I'd been back to Baton Rouge. I've been gone about 25 years. Okay. Never thought I would go back. And the way the Lord worked it out in 2021, my husband and I moved back to Baton Rouge. So, and finding out about Lou's mission and her goal and doing a little bit of research on our own, my sister and I realized the significance of what went on at Magnolia Mound. Had no idea, found out through our research over the past year that South Baton Rouge was developed for blacks to work the plantation at Magnolia Mound. I'm from Baton Rouge, born and raised. So I was on the other side of Baton Rouge. So I was on the other side of now Laurie Burgess, which back in the day was not, it was East Washington Street. Yes. So my grandmother always said we were not from the bottom, but the top of the bottom because of the hill. My sister and I just started asking questions. Most of our family members, the older ones, have gone on to glory. So we talked to one of my cousins who's a little bit much older, and who was able to recall some facts. So that piqued our interest.
So the DePlanche name is very synonymous with this community. Did you find was it difficult to make that connection with those of you that are of African descent and your white relatives, and how has that relationship unfolded? Do they recognize you fully?
The white side?
Yes.
Because of the little bit of, I would say, improvement that Magnolia Mound is trying to make. Okay. There were family reunions in the last 10 or 15 years, which I was not a part of. But they've been putting forth an effort to bridge the gap. I did recently meet, other than Lou and a couple of my cousins, because we now have Cousins for Justice, is what we call ourselves. Yes. There are about 8 of us. All right. I'm the only one in Baton Rouge. So we have the French side, the white side, it's about 4 or 5. and then the black side, which is about 3 or 4 of us as well. So we meet once a month via Zoom. Lou coordinates that, Lou DePlanche. And we just started talking, and as of recently, I've met some other DePlanches that are older, much older.
Yes.
And surprisingly, they welcomed me, I wouldn't say into the family, but they welcomed the discussion and did not deny the DePlanche background. But I do share so people will know that I'm not just making this up. I do share the property that my grandmother and the family owned, which has the description still, Joseph DePlanche tract, Joseph DePlanche subdivision on Napoleon Street, which is still in when the property taxes come, they come in that name still.
Wow. Really?
That still exists.
And you have a direct relation to the Ridleys as well. Could you speak to that?
Yes, okay, finding that out more detailed recently. So with the Ridley side, Martha is the daughter of Louise Woods. Louise Woods married a Ridley, and I can't think of the name right now. Joseph?
Yes, Joe
Ridley.
Ridley. Yeah.
And the Ridley building still stands on Highland Road
Yes,
with
it
the
does.
name still there.
Yes.
So that's a connection with the Ridley side. And the Ridley side, from what you know, it started the cleaning business, the
Yes.
cleaners.
Yes.
So when my great-grandmother, Martha, married Joseph DePlanche, she had a little bit of money
Okay.
come into the fold. She wasn't completely destitute. So I believe that the DePlanche side brought the land and cattle, because from what I was told, when they married, Armand, the grandfather, kind of gave him land and cattle and sent him on his way. And that's where the land is on Napoleon Street.
Okay.
But Martha really came in with the cleaner side,
Yes.
which, back in the day, that's what black males were contractors. We call them contractors now, but back then they just were people who built houses.
Yes. Yes.
Added now is a more elaborate name, you're a contractor.
Yes.
And on the other side, the women were basically they did sewing and cleaning clothes.
Domestic work.
Domestic work.
Yes. I'm listening to you elaborate on Napoleon Street and et cetera, and you speak about the 930 some odd acres that was the original Magnolia Mound. How South Baton Rouge came out of that vast space. It's really a vast undertaking that you guys have done to kind of peel back the layers. So the Friends of Magnolia Mound and Brick and LSU, how did that relationship begin, and what's the ultimate goal of each component in that?
Well, Lou DePlanche has been working with Magnolia Mound for several years. She finally became a part of the actual Magnolia Mound board.
Okay.
She's on the board now. And then the Friends of Magnolia Mound, anybody can join that.
Yes.
It's a $50 once a year fee.
Yes.
And so I joined, my sister joined, just to get information. You get monthly updates on what's going on with Magnolia Mound and so on and so forth. But with the ultimate goal, have a monument and hopefully a sculpture to recognize the ones enslaved. It became our passion as the Planches, my sister and I, that after doing so much research and reading and working with professors at Southern University like you, historians, and LSU, Bardis, and it's one other one at LSU, who identified over 351 names of the enslaved. That's something that you just can't erase. You can't forget about if you have human feelings. So even though my great-grandmother, Martha Ridley, who married Joseph Planche, was a freed woman of color, still her ancestors were still at once a slave.
Yeah.
And we don't know how deep and if it's connected to Magnolia Mound or another plantation, but we just started thinking about how do we try and right a wrong of such a magnitude. You can't ever really right that, but with coming up with a monument, and it's not anything that's new. I mean, Whitney Plantation has a monument. There's lots of plantations that have monuments, so it's not anything creating something that's new. But how does Magnolia Mound catch up with the other plantations, which now they're called museums
Yes.
because they're being run by Breck?
Yes.
So what do we do? So we say, okay, we want a monument like everybody else, with the names that have been documented. This is not just pulling out the air. Historians have all the paperwork. Paperwork is archived with Magnolia Mound. So how do we get a monument? How do we get a sculpture to recognize the ones enslaved? So that's our passion as Cousins for Justice. We're not militant people. We just want a seat at the table.
Of course.
And honestly, Breck has been very welcoming.
Yes.
An exhibits committee was created, which you're a part of.
Yes.
The LSU historians are, and then we have Dr. Joyce Jackson, who is a historian as
Yes,
well.
love that.
And we have several others that are now a part of the exhibits committee. That was the next step, to try and come up with the exhibit. Funding is a big problem, big issue. So we look at the funding, making sure we do a proposal. We'll have to work on that to propose to Breck and any other potential donors out there, so that we can get this monument not in a month or two. We know it's going to take some time, but we don't want it to be for 5 years. We're looking within a year's time of getting that done, so that we can actually acknowledge the ones enslaved.
Out of those 351, have you guys been able to determine, is there any direct descendants to your lineage? Out of the 351 names that were uncovered, did you determine, well, this is a possible uncle or a possible aunt?
Well, Henry DePlanche, who is a cousin, he's our genealogy expert.
Okay. I love him.
He has quite a bit of that information. We haven't pinpointed specifically yet, to my knowledge. I'm going to speak with him this evening to see if he actually has been able to do that. Because when we put it out there, we want it to be documented.
Yes.
So, but there has to be.
Yes. Yes.
South Baton Rouge was developed for blacks to work the plantation.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
through Magnolia Mound. Know that there are three other plantations connected, but we know that South Baton Rouge now was developed for blacks to work the plantation. So there has to be a connection. If you were black and worked the plantation, your family is somewhere connected.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
And that's why we really wanted to do the public release of the names. We invited all of South Baton Rouge who wanted to attend to come, because you may hear your name, or you're from your great-grandfather, your great-grandmother, or you may hear a name and say, oh, I remember that name, but nobody ever talked about it. So I'm learning more about the Ridleys, the connection with the Conrad, because we're connected to the Conrad family in South Baton Rouge as well, to the Planche. And also I want a connection to the Sims, because I'm a Sims by my dad's name, who's from South Baton Rouge as well, on Kansas Street.
All right.
So ironically, we talked about this earlier, my uncle, Bob Johnson, was from who was the first band director at McKinley High School, from South Baton Rouge.
That is amazing.
So there's a connection with that. So before we actually say anything, we want to make sure that we have all the documentation. So the direct connection, not yet that I know of.
That's wonderful. And Big Bruce family, this is Mr. Johnson's niece, the band director. All of us have a major affinity to Johnson. He's a fixture in our history. So the whole component with LSU, have you guys found that LSU is allowing a seat at the table, or willing to discuss that, hey, the geography of our university was once a part of Magnolia Mound, or are you finding they're a little dismissive about that?
Well, we haven't really approached LSU yet with any of this. in the works, hopefully, with the proposal first, so that we do talk with them. Because ideally, what we would love to do is have a collaboration with LSU and Southern University, with the architectural departments. We have great departments at both universities, to see if they're willing to work together to create a monument, create a sculpture, which to me would be phenomenal, because you're right there at the gates of LSU with Magnolia Mound. And there's so much also direct correlation with Southern University. So to have the two of them work together with the students, I mean, think about that in the future. I mean, it's a good recruiting tool to me, if I'm the president, because I can connect my previous students to what's now a monument at LSU. So if you have interest in anything in history in particular, the LSU or Southern University may pique your interest in terms of wanting to enroll with the great historians, professors that we have at both universities. I mean, to me, it would be a no-brainer, but I'm not LSU or Southern University's president. But
Yeah, you have the hierarchy and the protocol. So, what are any closing remarks, your pitch to go, and just tell us anything else that you may have left out, or anything that you want to share with the listening audience, anything you may need us, any request you choose to make. Now is your time to say that.
it would be wonderful if we could get some supporters with deferring the cost of the monument, because the ultimate goal is to have that done. It's quite costly, but other plantations, museums have them. So we know that it can be done. It may be what company you may have out there. You know, you're going to need someone with some cement, someone with marble, you may just want to donate your supplies, your efforts. It may not be monetarily.
Yes.
Whatever you have that you think would be beneficial to a sculpture, to a monument. You may be an artist, and you may want your name to be a part of something like this, where we can engrave your name on the monument or on some kind of way connected to where you will get recognized for what you've donated, what you have provided. I think it would be phenomenal, because we believe, the Ponches, that this is going to be something very pivotal for Baton Rouge, especially if we can get LSU and Southern University to work together. But if for some reason we can't do that, there's always a plan B. We're looking for local artists, or artists within Louisiana. We would like to keep it local, because if you're from Louisiana, you have some knowledge of Magnolia Mound, of the history that we have regarding slavery, and it may be passion. So we would like to keep it local, and we would like to also have it as an African American person.
Yes.
To produce that, because it is a part of our heritage, our ancestors who were African American, and to what better person to know about African Americans than African Americans. So we were talking to one artist the other day, and who had piqued interest of just certain little ways that she does her sculptures to depict maybe a certain look during that time that she focuses on, and her artwork focuses on the image, the facial expressions, what could actually have been happening at that particular time to create a particular monument or sculpture. So we want someone who's passionate about what he or she does, and the connection to what our idea is. So again, I'm going back to the LSU and Southern University. To me, would be a no-brainer and a great collaboration. I think that most students who take history classes that are particularly slavery history classes, like LSU and Southern University offer, they have a passion for it. Yeah. So I think that if they could be involved, they could put their names to it, stamp their name to it, would be phenomenal as well. I never thought in a million years I would be connecting my name to a Magnolia Mound.
Yes.
As a child growing up, we didn't know much about it. We looked at it as a ghost house. The families didn't talk about it, had no idea of the connection, no idea of South Baton Rouge and how it was connected to it, which we should have been educated on it. But some things just weren't talked about. For whatever reason, back in the day, they weren't talked about in our black community in South Baton Rouge. We just knew we were from South Baton Rouge. And to find out now just what actually happened back in the day, which we knew about slavery, but in actual, we able to go out and feel and touch, walk on the grounds now that we weren't allowed to do back then. It's just something, a passion that we just can't let go of till we see it come to fruition. So with people like you and Dr. Jackson and other professors at LSU and the Friends board, actually the Magnolia Mounds board has been very supportive of this as well. So I think that that Magnolia Mound is ready for a change, to tell exactly what happened back in the day. When you go on the tour, now they talk about slavery.
Yes, yes, yes.
Which we're glad to see that. We're happy about that.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a start.
It is.
We have to start somewhere. So we know it may not be an airplane, it may take a train, but as long as we get there, right?
As long as we arrive.
Yeah.
If you haven't had an opportunity to go to Magnolia Mound, and if you want to have that aha moment, it is very surreal for anyone to go in and see the slave quarters and see the overseer's home, actually go into the big house and see where the food was prepared and how they stored the food and whatnot. Very surreal. So, again, Jamie, the last question I have we decided fully we going with the statue? Is the statue the monument that we deciding on? Has that been etched in stone as the last?
The monument is going to be the statue.
Okay.
We just don't know what it's going to look like yet.
Okay.
But we've been told to bring a proposal to the table
Yeah.
and let's talk about it. So we're just, it's only been a year since I've been involved. So in a year we've had 3 different sessions on events there,
Right.
where we unveiled the 351 names of the enslaved. The last one, which was a phenomenal, and the attendance keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like standing room only, right? People are interested in what happened in South Baton Rouge. The last one we had was, which you did a phenomenal job on, talking about the history of South Baton Rouge. Registry, I didn't even know. I went to registry my 5th grade year. I had no idea who it was named after.
Yes.
I mean, things that I just had no idea about. The Leo Butler, the Dr. Valerian Smiths. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of phenomenal people that have
Yes,
come
ma'am.
from South Baton Rouge.
Yes, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter where you come from, is where you're going, right?
Of course.
So we've had we hit the Juneteenth. We've had events that's been going on and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm very appreciative of having your work, which your book your book was so interesting to him. He shared it with me,
Thank you.
and of South Baton Rouge,
Thank you.
that talked about specifics that I had no idea about. That, of course, you knew. You knew more about I'm embarrassed to say, but you knew more about my family history than I did. Than I did. But that piqued my interest too, to say, okay, he knows all this. What is it that I need to find out about my history? You don't know where you're going till you know where you came from, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So as young people, you find young black people, they're just trying to go forward. But as educators, we're trying to teach them, okay, you can't appreciate where you're going till you know where you came from. And I think if young black people realize how far we've come as an African American,
Yes, ma'am.
they would take education more seriously, life more seriously, put down these weapons, and think about what would my great-great-great-grandfather feel like at this point, you know, that he was actually whipped for trying to read, and you got a free education there.
Yes.
He was whipped for trying to leave the plantation. He was forced to work the plantation. Here now, you're getting paid to work, and you don't want to go out and keep a job. You're getting paid to work, and you're not going back to a plantation. You don't have to give the money back to the plantation. You now can buy your house.
Yes.
We've come so far. So it's it's a passion, I guess, to say, for my sister and myself, Janice, on sticking with this project, and Lou DePlanche started it. I had to give her credit. She started this 5 years ago.
Yes.
That proves that she's got stick-to-itness, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And adding on and finding, and Henry has been great about finding other cousins to get us to join on. Some come on for a couple of weeks and they fall off. But it's the ones that really it means something to. So once again, it's Cousins for Justice. We're not radical militant groups. We just want justice for the ones enslaved.
There's nothing wrong with a tad bit of militancy. And so, again, we want to commend you for the efforts that your family, your cousins, that you have done to be an agent of change. And in closing, I want to thank you for coming on the program. Please like and subscribe. We hope you learned something today. Friends of Magnolia Mound, LSU Breck, Southern University Department of History. We are working to try to get to the finish line. So thank you, Ms. Price. And as always investigate the information you receive. If it is indeed the truth, it should stand the test of investigation. Always ask why. Peace.